Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today I am back with Season 1, Episode 3 of Heartland. I know this is your guys' favorite reaction series I do, so I'm so excited to bring you Episode 3. Don't forget to hit that like button down below and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for future videos, and let's go ahead and jump right in and see what happens in Episode 3. I'm not sure why she would be in the barn with a flashlight. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. If you're gonna go in the barn at night, like, why not just turn on the lights? Why flash a flashlight around? I guess the only reason I could think somebody might do that would be if they think it's, like, kinder to the horse to have a flashlight versus turn on the barn lights. But to me, that light kind of like flashing all around, getting in their eyes, has to be more irritating than the lights just being flipped on. I personally, if I were resting in the dark, would rather somebody turn on the lights than have a flashlight flashing around where it's going to catch me in the eye. That absolutely drives me up the wall when people do that. Pegasus. I'm gonna assume that he is colicking or something else is wrong with him. My first thought when I see a horse on the ground is colic, so that would be my assumption at this moment, although certainly there are other reasons a horse might be laying on the ground, nickering, and seeming in distress. This is actually the one instance where my horses will be noisy. When they're in distress, they're not feeling well, they will make noise when I approach them and try to catch my attention like that. So as much as I think horses making noises in movies and TV shows is ridiculous because they're really quite quiet creatures, this is one instance where mine do regularly make noise. If I walk in the barn and my horses nicker at me, you know, during the day when I'm like in and out of the barn all day, I get worried, especially if they're on the ground. Then I'm exceptionally worried because I know something is clearly wrong with them. She's doing exactly what I would do. She's calling the vet. If I'm thinking that there's something seriously wrong, I would run to the phone and call the vet and then try to attend to the horse. If it's a minor colic, I would not be running to the phone. And of course, we all have cell phones now, so I would be picking up my phone and calling from the horse's stall probably, unless I'd left my phone somewhere, in which case I would have to run and get it. For mine that colic regularly, I'm going to do a little more evaluation before calling the vet, but if the horse is clearly in severe distress, call the vet first, then try to tend to the horse as best as you can, because they do have to drive out to you, so it's not going to be instant. It's better to get them headed your way than have to waste even more time waiting for them to come, especially if something is really severe and you need the vet there as quickly as possible.
It's Pegasus. Can you come over now?
When you do talk to the vet, you want to be calm and collected and explain the facts, because it doesn't really help them for you to just be like, this is my name and something's wrong. I always call my vet saying, hi, this is Stephanie, you know, give my full name. I'm calling because this horse is presenting with these symptoms. That way they can best help me and also best advise me on anything they think I need to do while I'm waiting for them to come, or if they think that I should be trying to haul this horse out because it's more serious. Obviously, for something like a colic, I kind of know what I can do in the meantime, but for any other medical emergency, they might be able to give me some sort of advice of what I can do while I wait for them to come out, versus if I say nothing, they really can't do anything. It also helps prepare them for what they need to do. As soon as they pull up, they can already be getting stuff out and getting stuff ready. They don't have to wait for me to explain it then. So it just speeds up the process, makes everything easier and better if you can provide your name, the horse, what's going on, and just a little background as to why you need them out immediately. Alright, so he is now up and actually looking pretty lively and normal. Of course, this is a TV show, so there's nothing wrong with the horse. I think that is a very hard thing to fake, because you can't, you know, hurt the horse in order to film it. I mean, I guess you could, but it would be super unethical. I'm not promoting that at all. So I do think it would be kind of hard to show a distressed horse in a movie. how do you really get them to portray that feeling? Because, you know, they're horses, they're not people, so we can't talk to them and say, hey, I need you to act like your tummy really hurts right now. Real life, I would expect this horse to be a little bit more upset, even if the vet had given him Banamine as soon as he showed up. It's not going to work immediately, and also it's not going to completely cure a colic. It's just going to make the horse feel a little bit better so they're not as painful and uncomfortable.
I don't think he's sick.
Alright, so Amy just said she doesn't think Pegasus is sick. She thinks he's missing Mom. I'm kind of two minds on that. You called the vet out on an emergency, so if you didn't think he was sick, why did you call the vet out? Clearly he was sick and colicking, right? So I get what she's trying to say, that he's depressed and that's why he colicked and what's wrong with him. But obviously something was wrong with him. So I suppose I'm throwing around the word colic and nobody's actually said colic. So I don't think the horse was lying on the ground, breathing heavily and in distress because there was nothing wrong. I do think something was wrong. Perhaps him being depressed and missing her mom is part of what caused that, but it had some sort of physical manifestation. Therefore, he is sick. Something is wrong with him. And depression could trigger it for sure. I have seen horses, when they're depressed, fall apart in really severe, scary, honestly, ways. It can absolutely cause colic, it can cause illness, it can cause so many issues, weight loss, etc. Just like in people, depression is a real issue, and horses definitely can get depressed. So in that sense, I agree with her. Depression's a real thing. It could absolutely be causing his issues, but it doesn't negate the fact that he has having a physical ailment. So it does need to be treated as a physical ailment. And then addressing the colic as well would be a good idea.
I need Amy to help me, and she can't be spending all of her time with a horse.
That was really callous of her to say. I'm temporarily forgetting what Amy's sister's name is. Yeah, I have no idea. But that was really callous of her to say, that she needs Amy's help with an open house, so she can't be spending all of her time with a horse. Like, I get that you need Amy for something, but the horse is ill. Like, I would drop everything for my horses when they're ill. I can't tell you how many nights I've spent shivering at the barn watching my horse and just making sure that they're okay when they're ill. I've driven hours in the middle of the night exhausted, just chugging coffee to get them to the hospital when they're ill. I've done a lot of things with my horses when they're ill, and it's always going to be my number one priority, especially if I think they're ill with something life-threatening. Obviously, I'm not going to be sleeping at the barn watching them every waking minute for a horse that has, you know, like a cold or something, that they'll recover, they'll be fine. But something like colic or some other life-threatening issue, I'm going to be there, and I'm not going to sleep until I know that they're in good hands and they're, you know, recovering. So I think that was really callous for her to say. I mean, Pegasus could die from whatever this is, right? So of course Amy's gonna be there until they know what's wrong with him and are on a path of recovery. Alright, so they're now giving him aromatherapy. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. I'm not sure that it's gonna treat his current physical ailments, but definitely could help with his depression and generally help him recover so that he doesn't have more physical ailments. I do believe in aromatherapy. I think it can be quite useful depending on the situation. Again, like I say, with everything, nothing is a catch-all, especially when you start doing homeopathic treatments. I would never recommend doing a homeopathic treatment instead of contacting your vet, but working in conjunction with a vet is certainly a way of doing it. And I do think there are a lot of homeopathic remedies that work as well, if not better, than drugs and everything else that a vet can do. So again, contact your vet. I'm not promoting doing things without your vet's help and without communicating with your vet, but certainly stuff like aromatherapy can help and make a big difference in situations like this. And especially when you're dealing with something like depression, where we know depression isn't very treatable with drugs. There's a lot more that goes into it. So I personally don't know how you would treat depression with aromatherapy, but I am quite confident there are ways you could work towards improving depression with aromatherapy. Such a funny response. I have had horses do that when they smell something. I'm not super familiar with aromatherapy, but I do have a couple essential oils that I'll use for specific situations. And yeah, some of my horses are quite dramatic. They smell it and they do that phlegm response. And what that horse is basically doing, if you don't know, is taking its lip and closing its nostril to smell that scent better and really analyze it. Horses will do that when they smell something really weird or intriguing or interesting, just to get a better idea of what they actually are smelling. It's interesting to me that she's using so many essential oils. He clearly likes that one since he wants to eat it. I would be careful about him actually ingesting it, because essential oils really aren't meant to be ingested, but he clearly liked that one. I would think you'd want to do kind of one oil at a time and have a break between the two, but maybe there's no difference between having a break and just doing all of the oils at once. I don't know. I worry a bit for Amy because a couple times now this show has mentioned that Pegasus is older, and I think she's really attached to Pegasus because she feels connected to her mom when she's around him. I worry for her because I know at some point they're gonna have to put Pegasus down. And I'm not saying it's ever easy putting a horse down, and Lord knows I have cried. I mean, I'm getting emotional right now just thinking about putting a horse down. But I think that this particular horse is really holding the place of her mom for her right now, and knowing that he is older and has had some issues and people have kind of mentioned it, that maybe it's gonna be time to let him go soon. That does make me really worry for Amy, because I know at this point that's gonna just destroy her. Yet it really could happen. And it's really tough, but you always have to put the horse first, and when it's their time to go, it's their time to go. You can't be the one holding on to them for your own personal need for them to stay around. But I feel bad for her, and I really hope this isn't the episode that they have to put him down. I mean, I'm hoping there's never an episode, but they've left enough hints at this point that I know in one of these episodes, I would suspect before the end of the season, they're going to euthanize him, which will be devastating. And you'll probably see me cry when that happens, because I cry for everything. Wow, so the beginning of this episode was just jam-packed with Pegasus feeling ill and depressed. I really hope that they find a way to rectify that depression and we don't have to continue to watch Pegasus go downhill through the rest of this episode. I am really intrigued that we haven't seen any return of Nick Hartwell, I think his name was. Oh, don't quote me on that. I'm really bad with names. But at the very end of episode 2, we had the show jumper come with his horse that had an issue with dogs. I'm surprised that that didn't kind of come to the surface and actually be a part of this show. It seems like we've completely moved on from that, and the horse is nowhere to be seen anymore. So we'll see if that horse does resurface and become more important later in this episode, but I was expecting that to be how this episode started, not for this episode to be focused on Pegasus and his potential depression. Anyway, I am super curious to keep watching this episode with you and see how it unfolds. I hope you are just as excited as me. If you've missed any of my Heartland reaction videos, make sure you check out the playlist in the description box down below. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.